November 18th, 3.3 proofs with parallel lines. Copy this down. All right, so today's is pretty much the same as what we've been doing. It's just looking at it from a different view. Okay. So before, what we would do is we would say, hey, these two lines are parallel, and because they're parallel, the theorem tells us that, for example, corresponding angle theorem would tell us that corresponding angles are congruent, right? This, on the other hand, the converse is telling us that we don't know if those two lines are parallel, so the way to prove it is if, for example, if the corresponding angles are congruent, then the lines must be parallel. So make note of that, circle that's congruent, and just put your congruent symbol there. And then with the alternate interior, if they're congruent, then the lines must be parallel. Okay? So like I said, now we're just proving that they're parallel versus them just saying, hey, they're parallel. And because they're parallel, we know like the theorem say this one's equal or this one equals 180. Now we're saying if these are congruent, then they have to be parallel. Does that make sense? We're just looking at it kind of going from a different direction. All right, so alternate exterior angles. Main thing with those is that they're congruent. And if they're congruent, then we know that the two lines are parallel. Consecutive interior, they've got to be supplementary. And what's supplementary mean? No, what is it? They equal 180. So consecutive interior have to equal 180. All right, the transitive property of parallel lines, that's one that's completely new to us, this bottom one. What it says is if two lines are parallel to the same line, then they are parallel to each other. Okay. So for example, if line P up here at the top and Q are parallel, then Q and R are parallel, then P and R are parallel. Basically, that's just saying if this top one and these top two are parallel and the two bottom two are parallel, then the top one and the bottom one are parallel. Pretty basic. So if these got to equal 180 because there's consecutive interior, we do 180 minus 51, and what does that give us?
129.
129. So the question mark equals 129.
This is very simple, sir.
It's pretty much the same thing like we've been doing. It's just converse instead of theorem.
Got 10 minutes left.
All right, anybody still getting this? Still copying? All right, draw this one. All right, look at this. Quiet. Quiet. The 51 and the 5x plus 11, what are they to each other? Alternate interior. So converse. Okay. And they're what? They're congruent. So we're going to do what? We have 51 equals 5x plus 11 because they're congruent with each other, right? Then solve for x. Subtract from 11, I heard.
40.
51 minus 11
40.
equals what? Then what? And what's x equal? And that's it. Any questions?
No.
Everybody got this? All right, last one. Get this drawn. All right, so let's look at this. When we look at the 130, it's this angle right here, right? Do you see anything special with 130 and any of those other two angles?
Yes. 2.
The what?
2x.
The 2x?
No.
So the 2x is this little angle right here, right? The 3x is this little angle. Are any of those special with the 130? No. Okay. So let's remember yesterday I told y'all to draw out the main things you need. So if we were to draw this out, we'd have 130 right here, right? What would this angle be right here? What kind of angles would those be?
That'd be 2.
But what are those angles called? Alternate interior, okay? We don't have alternate interior right here, right now, right? But you see on this one that it connects from the transversal all the way up to the U right there. So in order to make the R's here alternate interior, we need to connect from the transversal and go up to the U, right? Y'all see that?
So you would add them together?
Okay. So what are we going to do, Corbin?
Add them together?
So he says we're going to add those two small angles together because the two small ones add up to equal the big one, right? So what's 2x plus 3x? 5x. And then what kind of angles do we say these are? Alternate interior. So alternate interior converse. And what are they to each other? Congruent. So how am I going to set it up? 130 is equal to 5x. Because if they're congruent, we just set them equal to each other. Then how do I solve this? Divide by 5. And what does x equal? 26.